What's going on there, people? I have a box. What does that mean? Well, it means that my amp finally came in after being delayed for a couple of days due to civil protests. UPS finally sent me my amp, so today we're going to unbox it. This will probably end up being like a box within a box type deal, so this is just the outer box. But it has been rolling around with UPS for the last couple of days, so I just want to make sure that everything is good with this thing. Heavier than it looks. Packing slip. Okay. And there we go. Ooh, it's got the British flag on it. So here it is. The Blackstar LT Echo 15. It's 15 watt guitar amp with delay effect, the sound in your head. The story on Blackstar is that it was formed by a couple of former Marshall amplification employees who broke off and started doing their own thing. It is known for having, in the clean channel, an extremely clear and precise sound, and a lot of artists are starting to go towards their stuff. So let's see, it has built-in digital tape delay effect, not real tape, obviously. MP3 line in for jamming along or listening to music. ISF, the infinite shape feature, I'll explain that in a little bit. And the emulated line out for silent practice or recording. And when they say emulated, they just mean that you're getting the tone off the board, but you know, it might not sound exactly the same as what comes out of your speaker. So I think that's about it on the box. So let's open this thing up and see. It's like a double unboxing. You get a 2-for-1 deal. Well, don't eat it. Little Blackstar thing to sign up for their mailing lists and all that good stuff. Let's take the amp out of here. Okay. Well, my first impression of its size is it's actually bigger than I thought it would be. They have two Echoes. They have a 10 watt and a 15 watt. The 15 watt has two 3-inch speakers. Now, to me, I think that makes a huge difference in the sound of the amp, because when you have it coming through one speaker, you tend to get more of like a kind of cheap woofy sound. And if anybody's ever played a really cheap like mini amp or a really cheap practice amp, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like just kind of bad, you know? All right, so the top part of the amp here, you've got your gain knob, you've got your volume knob. This is a 2-channel amp, so it has a clean channel and a crunch channel. Your equalization is just one single tone knob, so obviously the lower is more bassy, the higher is more trebly. The other knob, which is the ISF, is what I wanted to explain. So the infinite shape feature is something that's on a lot of Blackstar amps, and supposedly when you have it down at 0, you get more of a I think the British amp is on the lower end and the American amp is on the higher end. So basically, I think they're basing that on like a Vox AC30 type tone, and then maybe like a Fender amp kind of tone on the higher end. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a different presence to each setting, and you can kind of mix and match and do a lot of funky things with it. So we'll play with that a little bit. And then you have your delay, which you have an on and off switch for the delay, and then you have an amount of delay that you want to use. And then there's a button down here for the overdrive channel. So it's a pretty simple setup here. Very kind of standard for your practice amp. But what we're going to do now is we're going to plug it in, and we'll see how it sounds, because that's what everybody's waiting for. All right, well, so after some tones, I like this little thing, man. It's a really packed in little powerhouse. And, a couple of things that I was worried about going into it. There's a lot of bad rap about practice amps in general, just because they usually sound like crap. This amp sounds like a much larger amp, and it gets pretty loud, especially when you turn it up. So the gain knob and the volume knob, even on the clean channel, are kind of hand in hand. If you turn the gain all the way down, you get no volume whatsoever. So the volume knob does give you the volume part. So if you're looking for like really clean tones, you're going to turn the volume up, and then you're going to just kind of inch the gain up. But then if you kind of start mixing and matching them, and you turn the gain up and the volume down a little bit, you start getting a really nice broken up kind of Vox amp kind of sound. And then on the gain channel, there's a lot of different things that you can do. With the infinite shape feature, you can go with something that has a little bit more body and depth to it from a standpoint of less treble, kind of gives you a little bit more of a, I guess, old school vibe, more of like an AC/DC, more of a, deeper, richer tone. And then on the other side of it, you can get something that has really like kind of scooped mid, very trebly, kind of papery sound to it, that you can kind of get some really nice early Metallica tones, things of that nature. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this amp, and I really think it's awesome. I've used it a couple of times since I originally unboxed it, and so it's about 2 or 3 days later that I'm making this video, and I highly recommend it as a practice amp. Now, I did get this amp for sale on a stupid deal of the day from Musician's Friend. This amp usually runs about $125, and I got it for $90 on the stupid deal of the day. As soon as I saw it, I was like, bang, that's mine, because that was a good deal. And I have not been disappointed. It's really good. Actually, you can turn it down to a low enough volume when everybody's asleep, and they're not going to hear it. And you can even use headphones with it if you really need to. But I was concerned about, having it down to a volume where you can actually hear the body of it, because I mean, this amp, the Fender amp, once you turn it down to like nothing, you don't get any tone. You just get like a little tinny sound. This one, you actually get a little bit of tone out of it at low volumes, and it can just do a whole lot of different things. So I highly recommend it. And if you're looking for a relatively cheap practice amp, and I know there's a lot of practice amps in this space between the $95 to like $150 range, this one is definitely a beast to consider. So thanks for watching, and if you own it or if you have any questions about it, let me know what you think. We'll see you next time on the Guitar Historian.